What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy video on the channel. AFL Fantasy Trade Talk 4, Round 4. I've recorded this already twice. There's just been buzzing in the background. So let's hope this is the time that there is no buzzing in the background. But we do have Gather Round coming up, which is going to be fantastic. I'll be at plenty of games of footy. I'm essentially living at Adelaide Oval this weekend. I'll be going to all the Adelaide Oval games. So hopefully looking forward to seeing some of you legends at some of the games, and also at the live show with Hef and the Keeper League and plenty of other content creators at the Elephant British Pub. So make sure you guys get your tickets. I'm sure you'll be able to find the links to all those at the Keeper League on Twitter, obviously on the website as well, and everyone's sharing the link around. So make sure you go and buy your tickets and get down, because it will be a really good show. Be able to watch, I think, the North and Brisbane game beforehand, then obviously head down to Port and Eston. So looking forward to that. But let's get stuck into the most trade in-out players ahead of round 4. As always, make sure you do smash a like on the video. And also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're nearly at, 2K subscribers, which is fantastic. We're only, I think, we're on 1911 last time I checked. So only 89 away. So make sure you do subscribe and get involved in all the action at Fantasy Fanatics on YouTube. So, number 1, Harvey Thomas, traded by 9K coaches as of time recording. I think he's probably the top option for me to be bringing in this week. Obviously, mid-forward test is fantastic, but the fact he's got a negative 22 break-even, he's got that 100 built into his price cycle for the next few weeks. Obviously, he played West Coast. He's not going to be scoring hundreds every week. He scored, an 18 to 35. I don't even think he's going to be scoring that. I think he's going to be better than that. I don't think he's going to be as good as the 100. I see him as more a guy in between this. Anywhere from a 45 to a 60, I think most weeks would be probably realistic. I think he's best 22, so I think there's no real issues with that. I think he's a bench option, only I wouldn't be playing him on field. But yeah, very good. It could even be a loop. Maybe if you've got, in best 18, you might be able to loop someone like him on the bench. But yeah, for me, he's a bench option, but a really good one. So I'll be looking at bringing him in if you don't have him. Tom Power, great option. Has had a really good last fortnight. Back-to-back hundreds. Had a 78, I think it was against GWS. Still has a low break even at 26, so he's still got plenty of cash to make. But I still think he can be a top 6 forward. I did flag this last week that I think there is a chance that he does become a top 6 forward if this breakout is real, and I think it is. Worst case scenario, he's just a guy that's going to make some cash and you can trade him in a month, 2 months, however long you want to keep him. But I think he could be a guy with the lack of forward options. If he's averaging 98 after 3 weeks. If he can go an average of even if it's 85, 90, it's going to be a luxury trade in the forward line. But I think can got that 90 average for what I've seen the last 2 weeks. But obviously, it's only 3 games. Maybe we say it's in 3 weeks' time he's put up a couple of dud scores and we look back at it, not as great. But I looked at the CBAs before this as well, and he had the equal most CBAs for any North mid. So, yeah, for me, we actually had this equal most for the game of anyone on the ground with 33. So, yeah, for me, great option, and I'll be looking to bring him in. Interesting that one person's traded him out as well, which, there you go. Oliver Dempsey's next, 7.1k jumping on him. Really interesting. Oliver Dempsey's got negative 13 break even, priced at 426k. Still got cash to make. He's the sort of guy that if you've got a Billings, if you've got a Nat Fife, making that move down from them to a Dempsey, I like that move. It's just it's an awkward price now, 426k. I still think you can bring him in. It's team dependent. You're not bringing him in on your bench. If you bring him in, you're going to be playing him on field. And I think you could do it. I think it's realistic. It's a bit of an awkward price on my own team. I've got other moves I want to make, and I'd still rather Harvey Thomas on your bench, and you can play maybe a Harley Reid or something like that on field still. But I still like if you bring in an Ollie Dempsey and play him F6. I don't mind that play. So for me, he's still an option that you could consider. Sam Flanders, the most traded in premium of the week, 4.4k jumping on him. And for good reason as well. He's one of the safest forwards. He's going to be a top 6 forward. He's probably going to be a top 1 or 2 forward. Obviously, Heaney's probably the one, depending if he continues in this role. He'll probably be number 1 if he continues in the mid role. But if not, I think Flanders will be number 1. 844k is not, I guess, value. But I think he's a valuable player to bring in just because he's going to be a clear-cut forward and one of those only options. Coming off his bye, which is great. We don't have to worry about him having an early bye anymore. That's done. So, yeah, for me, I'm a big fan of bringing him in. And I might even be talking about him in my trades when we talk about them once we go through these. Harvey Gallagher, He's got a low break even, I think, as well. It's like a negative like 13 or something. I think it might be. No, negative 19. Sorry, negative 13 was Dempsey. 337 is his price. I'd rather Thomas. Obviously, I think Gallagher. I still think Gallagher's a risk as being a sub or being subbed out. I don't know if he's best 22. I'm not sure. He's been it's pretty solid to start the year for the Dogs. I'd rather Thomas. I think Thomas is best 22. I think I'd rather Dempsey as well, just because if you're bringing Dempsey, it's probably going to be for one of those guys I mentioned before, like a Billings or a Fife or someone. And you're playing him on field, whereas Gallagher's just a bench option. And I'd just rather save the, 60-odd, 70-odd K by getting Harvey Thomas. But I still don't hate it if you've already got a Thomas and you're not wanting to pay up for a Dempsey. Tom Green, people are paying up for him. And it's probably rightly so as well. He's looked fantastic, averaging 127 from his 3 games. I'm not looking at anyone price over $1 million. I'm looking at still a little bit more value. But if you've got the opportunity to grab Green, you probably could. I wouldn't begrudge anyone bringing in a Tom Green this week. I still like him as an option. Just a bit too expensive for me at this moment in time. Josh Draper, next on the list. 2.4k jumping on. It's the defender rookies I'm just not really as keen on. I know a lot of people got a Reed or a Caulfield out there. But it's not like they're 400k and you're going to make a lot of cash by going down. You're only making 100k if that. A Draper, if he gets dropped at any point, I don't think he will. I think there's injuries there, so I think his job's pretty safe. But I don't see him scoring anything much above 50. A bit the same with, I think it's like Caleb Mitchell. Guys like that, Toby Pink, like they're not going to be huge scorers. Like Caleb Mitchell is probably going to be the best scorer out of them, but he's not, I don't think he's going to be best 22 for long. Adams could be out this week. Parker's back soon. He's a guy that's probably going to be one of the first ones that's shuffled out of there. So, yeah, I'm not keen on the defender rookies. I'll just be holding, I think, until we get maybe an Ari Sharma if he makes a debut soon, or someone good and they put up a good score, then I'd be looking at bringing them in. But, yeah, if you've got nothing to do, I don't mind the Draper move, but I'd prefer other moves, I think, personally. Riley Bonner was great last week. Fantasy perspective, 127 was fantastic. Rose a truckload in cash. Yeah, look at that, 68k, which is great. He's 600k now. 15 break even, still got money to make. It just depends, is he best 22? Is he best 22? Which I think he is. People worried if he gets drops. I don't think he will, but one to watch. On the Thursday, I think they play Sunday, so just check the trim squads on Friday afternoon. I think he'll be there. I think he'll be fine. I still don't hate bringing him in with a break-in of 15. He's still got cash to make, and he's shown that he's got a ceiling, so I still like him as an option. Nick Martin, love him as an option if you haven't already got him. Huge game last week with 145, 57 break-even. He's still going to be going up in cash, and I really don't see him being this cheap for the remainder of the season. I see him being a guy that's going to be over 850 for the whole season. I think he's a top 6 defender. He's been going really well. A few people were talking about trading him out last week, which I thought was crazy. So when you record this video for the third time, it is a bit yawning, but we'll power through anyway and repeat what I've said 3 times. People were talking about it, but 93 against Hawthorn with one bad quarter was still solid. 103 against Sydney at the SCG was very good as well. Only the 4 marks. Normally he would take more marks than that. Obviously, is shown with the 8 marks on the weekend. And he hardly comes off, which is great. Obviously, the more time you're out there, the more points you're going to score. So, for me, I really like Nick Martin. If you don't have him, he's going to get DPP in before round 7. So, perfect. You can flick him back. And, yeah, I think he'll be a top 6 defender. Elliot Yeo is the 10th most trading player this week. And, the final one sort of on the top 10 list. If you don't have him, I still like bringing him in. He's looked better as each week's gone. Obviously, he's got a 70-week one against Port, who are restrictive. Then, obviously, into what was it, a 98 against the Giants. And then 108 in only 66% game time. Season high in disposals. Had a few marks, which is great. His tackles were still okay as well. Kicked 2 behinds, which that could have been meant he could have scored even better. I think he's going to slowly get more game time. I think Giants have just... West Coast have wanted to just ease him in over the first 4, 5, 6 weeks. I think as he starts getting more and more games in, I think I could see that's increasing to mid-70s, potentially even hit the 80% mark. But yeah, he's been great. And if you don't have him, averaging 92, he was priced pretty cheap. I think he's priced at near 70 now. So there's still decent upside with him. So I still really like him as an option. So yeah, if you don't have him, I'd be jumping on. Now, a few other players to note. Heaney got a buy in round 5. I know he's got Eagles this week, but it's just hard to bring a guy in that's got a buy the following week. But I guess if you've got no other options to bring, if you've already got Flanders, you could bring a guy like Heaney, but obviously preparing for the fact that he's got the buy the week after. I would just be sort of praying he doesn't put up a big score this week, which I think he probably does against West Coast. So, yeah, just one to keep an eye on. Yeah, it's tough. If you want to bring him in and you're happy to wear the buy, then by all means bring him in because he's looked great. But it's almost to the point where you probably wait for the buy. Hopefully Adams comes back this week to see if he gets more mid-time and if Heaney gets bumped out. I don't think he will because he's been so good there. Jack Steele, Harry Sheasel, Gawn, Whitfield, all 4 great options to be bringing in. All are going to be probably top of their lines or sort of top 6 or 8 in their lines. So I'm really happy to bring any of those in. Obviously, Max being a top, potentially a top 3. Well, I think he's a top 3 ruck. Could even be a top 2 ruck. He's the number 1 averaging ruck, I think, at this moment in time. So, yep, very good. Mitchell as well. I don't think I'd be jumping on him. He's got West Coast, which is good. He could put up a good score and kickstart his cash gen, but I think I'd rather wait and see him put up a good score this week, then wait till after his bye, and then bring him in the week after. So I'd pay that premium, which he would be, if he got a 60 or a 70, he'd be 250, 260k. I'd jump on him then. I don't think I'd be jumping on him this week. I don't know why Mark King's there as well. Bit of an interesting name. Few people bring him in. He scored 99 last week, but yeah, I wouldn't be bringing him in. Anyway, most traded out players for the week. So a lot of forwards are the flavour of the week for the most traded out players. If we can get them showing up in order now, that'd be nice. Yeah, James Jordan's a surprising one for the number 1 most traded out player this week. 4.7k jumping off him. He's got West Coast this week. I think you just got to hold for an extra week and then trade him at his bye. But hey, if you've got no issues whatsoever and James Jordan is your biggest issue, you could potentially look at doing something like that, but I'd prefer to hold for one more week and trade at his bye. I'd personally prefer to trade out Fife, who's been traded out by 3.6k coaches. Obviously, he started well in round 1 with an 86, but he had the exact same amount of disposals this past game against the Crows with 6 kicks, 15 handballs. The difference being he had 7 tackles in round 1 compared to only 1 this past week. And he only had 1 in round 2 as well, so only 2 tackles in the past couple of weeks. Back-to-back 60s. Obviously, that 63 he got subbed out. But, yeah, I'm still fine to trade out a Fife. Go grab yourself Tom Power if you don't have him. Or even up to a Sam Flanders if you've got the cash to go up there. But I'd be happy to move off of Nat Fife. Zach Fisher, I think, is still a luxury trade for me. I know he hasn't been what we probably wanted him to. I think we were wanting him to be 85 plus. But he's 76 and 85 in his last 2 weeks. I still think there's bigger issues. I think with the lack of forward options, I think 76 average isn't that bad. Like, actually, if I quickly just go and sort these out by forwards and go by averages, he's probably going to be still not that far off. Like, so you got Heaney, Zorko. So, like, if you scroll down the list, it's like there's a lot of guys here, but you drop down to 77. There's a lot of guys that you'd rather fish. You'd rather Fisher over Marshall, probably Bolton. Dylan Moore, I think, is a good underpriced option that we could start considering soon. Kern, O'Neill, Bullen, McDonald, Dempsey's up there. Baker, Perkins, Papley, Myers, Hogan, Daniels, King, Jackson. Like, I'd rather him over a lot of those options. So for me, I think that the Fisher trade is very luxury, and I don't think I'd be trading him out. There'd be bigger issues even in your forward line than what he would be, so I wouldn't be trading him. Sexton, if you didn't trade him last week, I'd probably just be holding at this point. I think he's still going to be in defence. He's going to be better than the rookies, I think. So, again, if you've got no other issues, I still don't mind going him. I like going him to a power steal, and you can still trade, but I think you'd probably rather move off the rookies if you've got 2 forward rookies, especially on your field. So, yeah, interesting with Sexton, but you can trade. Darcy Wilson and Harley Reid as well, probably put these 2 in the same boat. I think you can trade one. I think you can trade both, really. I think it's fine, especially if it gets you the upgrade. Like, for example, sort of trades I'm looking at, potentially going one of these 2 out. I'm still not sure which one I'm going to go out of the 2. Like, Wilson's St Kilda got a great game style for scoring, but Reid's got the better role. Obviously, West Coast don't score as much, though. So, yeah, I'm torn on sort of who I'm going to be keeping out of those 2. But one of them will probably be going for me this week with the trades I'm looking at. Billings, I think he's got to go. Subbed out last week, only scored 30. I know it's a tough matchup, but he's got the Crows this week, Brisbane, then a bye. 2 not great matchups, then his bye. So for me, I'd be trading him out and getting in if you don't have a Tom Powell or going even down to a Dempsey from him. Or if you've got the cash, going out to a Sam Flanders. That would be my suggested moves. Caulfield, I did speak about this with the defender rookies. I don't know if I'd just be trading him. I think I'd just be holding at this point until we see a good option present themselves in defence. Same with like a Zach Reed. Even Blake Howes, if he's on your bench, I would just be sort of holding for now. Like, he only put one bad score up. It was, the 3 weeks before that he put up some good scores. So I'd be holding him. And Caulfield, I'd just be holding unless he's on your field. Then you've got to trade. Harley Reid, obviously, just mentioned before there as well. Wines has got to go. Obviously missing a week with a tight hamstring, but he'll be back the week after. But you've got to trade. You can't be affording to holding him. You can go to a Nick Martin if you can find 140. I think it's 140k or so. Is he 690 or something? Still 705. Yes, actually went up a little bit last couple of weeks with the 88. So yeah, you've 139k you got to find to get a Nick Martin. So I'd be happy to do that trade, and I don't know if that'd be too hard for a lot of coaches to make that happen. If not, if you've got 2 rookies on the field, go Wines down and field that mid rookie that you want to field. Final play we'll talk about as well is the Bont. Mixed emotions for me with Bont. Obviously on the weekend, had him captain. First quarter was great with a 37. Played a bit forward, but still 37. You take that every day of the week. Second quarter, only 7 points. Very disappointing. 44 at halftime. I was thinking, well, okay, we might only be looking low 100. Only 13 points in the third quarter. And yeah, safe to say I was in a bad mood at 3/4 time. But that dramatically changed by the end of the game with a 46-point final quarter. And people have been talking about the ankle injury and everything. Is a guy really going to score 46 points in the last quarter if he's got a bad ankle? Not likely. I think it's fine. And then again, he came on with a couple minutes to go against Gold Coast when he could have easily sat out the last couple minutes on the bench. I think the ankle, it's probably going to be sore, but I think it's fine. I think he'll be fine moving forward. He started last year with these type of scores, and he still ended up being the highest averaging midfielder in the game. It would not shock me this week. He's got a break even of like 130 something, like 136. Yeah, 136. I wouldn't be shocked if he put up a 130 this week, and people are bringing him in next week because he's hit a lower price than what he started at. So it wouldn't shock me. So I'm going to be holding. I guess the tiny flag this week is Geelong coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark O'Connor went to him, but we could say that about Bont every week, that a guy could be tagging him, but he still showed last year he can play through all those tags. I think he's going to be fine. I think he played forward more because of the West Coast matchup, and maybe if this ankle was an issue, maybe it was just to rest him a tiny bit just because of it. But yeah, I expect him. He needs to go in the midfield over the next few weeks. They've got, as I said, Geelong, obviously tougher game. They're going to want him in the midfield. They've got, I think, Essendon the following week, big midfield. Obviously, Setterfield will probably might go to him there. I expect him to play midfield. St Kilda, Freo. So some games that are pretty tough that they need to make sure that the Dogs win. And I think by doing that is by putting Bont in the midfield. So for me, I think he'll be fine. And maybe in a month's time we look back at it and say we probably could have traded him out. But I think there's more likely that he's going to put up some big scores and you're not going to want to have traded him out. So yeah, mate, the only way I could see you trading him out is if you've got no other way to make the cash. If you go him down to a Nick Martin or something, and then you can use that cash on the other end and go Billings up to Flanders if you bank cash or something, then I could tick that off. But most scenarios, you just keeping Bont. Top 5 options for me this week to be bringing into your side. I think Harvey Thomas is number 1 with the negative 22 break even. I just think, that's very valuable to have at this early stage in the season for cash gen. Number 2, Tom Powell, back-to-back hundreds, potential top 6 forward for me. Still at a decent price, still value. I'd be looking at bringing Tom Powell in if you don't have him. At number 3, I think I'd probably go Nick Martin. I think he showed last week his ceiling. He's got a big ceiling of that as well. He's going to get defender status in a few weeks' time. He's got Port this week, which isn't great for instant reward, but then he's got the Dogs the week after, which will be good. And I believe that would be at Marvel. I can't imagine that's going to be anywhere else. Marvel's saying, there you go. I mean, Crows tougher, Collingwood, then West Coast. A bit of a mixed bag, but I think he'll be fine. He's the main guy back there for the Bombers and was really good on the weekend, so he would be my number 3 option. Just while this is loading so I can get this off of the screen. My number 4 option would be Oliver Dempsey. I think still, I know he's an expensive price, but negative 13 break even. A lot of coaches are trading out Fife and Billings this week. I think he's a good option to bring in by going it down. So Dempsey for me is still okay to bring in. This is definitely the final week to bring him in. Number 5, I thought about Gallagher at number 5, but I think I'll go Flanders. I think he's the number 1 premium option for me to be bringing in just because of how valuable he is as a forward. And yeah, if you just get him in, you've locked him in, and he's there. Giants this week, a little bit tougher, but then the run starts to open up for Gold Coast. So for me, I really like Flanders as an option as well. But other options I like as well. I mentioned before Bonner and Yo. Like Bonner as well, obviously depending on his name, but Yo as well, Steele, Shees. I mentioned all these guys before, so they're all good options, but they would be my top 5 options. My trades this week, they've been set pretty much since Saturday night. They haven't changed. It'll be going one of Reed or Wilson. At the moment, it's Reed. I'm still not sure yet. I'm still going to sort of work that out, but it'll be one of those two down to Harvey Thomas. Other trade will be going Caleb Windsor all the way up to Sam Flanders, which fixes my one issue in my team, which was the 2 forward rookies on the field. It will now be down to 1, so it'll be one of Reed or Wilson, whoever I've got, and like a Lazaro or something on field. So I'm pretty happy with that, and that would be my one sort of poor rookie on the field, with the other 3 being in the midfield, with them putting up all solid scores. So yeah, that'll be trade talk for the 3rd time. But obviously you guys will only watch this once. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure you do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as we're heading towards 2K subscribers. If we can get 50 likes or 100 likes on the video, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are doing with your trades this week. And if you've got any trade questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to try and answer those whenever I can. Go and follow my social media links in the description below, because I'll be tweeting out when sort of all the content stuff's happening over the next sort of few days. There won't be a pre-lockout chat on the Friday. Obviously, we gather around. I'll be at the live show and then the game after. So I'll tweet out across socials and stuff when we'll be doing it. At this stage, it'll probably be around Saturday lunchtime is what we'll probably look at doing. Maybe an hour and a half before the first game. So, yeah, but as I said, make sure to tune into the socials, and I'll let people know when I'm doing that as well. And yeah, as I said, if you're in Adelaide, make sure you get to the games. Hopefully see some of you guys there, and hopefully catch some of you guys at the live show as well on this Friday afternoon. So, but yeah, if I don't see you guys, good luck for round 4. Yeah, have a good weekend. Enjoy the footy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. So, I'm out. Cheers.